RACKET has challenged me to test if the new Gravity is the racket with the most control in the world. There are 4 models: Pro, Motion, Team and Team Light. But in addition, I'm going to compare it with the Extreme and the Speed. And also Mauri Andrini, one of the best coaches in the world, will share his feedback. So does the Gravity really have that much control? Hello everyone, I'm Pablo and I welcome you to a new 4Set. The Gravity models are head-round safe rackets used by players like Edu Alonso. So let's start by understanding the differences between the 4 models they released. In terms of weight, the Pro is the heaviest at 365 grams, then there's the Team at 360, the Motion at 355, and lastly the Team Light at 340 grams. But when it comes to roughness, only the Pro and Motion have sandy surface, as the Team and the Team Light don't have any kind of rough surface. Regarding the fibers, the Pro is the only one that combines carbon fiber and fiberglass, because the Motion, Team and Team Light are made only of fiberglass, making them softer. However, all 4 rackets have the same rubber, deep control foam and the same grip length of 11 centimeters. The Gravity Pro is the most expensive price at 240 euros, while the Team Light is the cheapest at 160. The Motion costs 200 euros, 20 more euros than the Team due to the rough surface and being 5 grams lighter. Well, all these prices have a 10% discount at Padel Market with the code 4Set and you will be supporting the channel. These are the main technical differences between the 4 models, but what happens in reality? Well, so let's start with a simple bounce experiment. I placed the 4 rackets on the ground, holding them in place to prevent movement, and drop a ball from the same height to analyze the ball output. Because in theory, the higher the bounce, the more ball output the racket has. The next thing I thought would be easier to measure was the stiffness. So I pressed down on the sweet spot of each racket and tested it for myself. Based on the materials used, the Pro model should be the stiffest Gravity racket, and indeed that was the case, because the force that I had to apply to press down on the Pro was much greater than for the others. In fact, remember that the Motion, Team and Team Light differ mainly in the roughness and weight, but the stiffness and materials are the same. So I tried to go a step further and see if I could identify which racket was which with my eyes closed. Well, let's do the Gravity Blind Challenge. Here I have a seer who is gonna give me the 4 types of gravity and I need to try to guess which one it is. Well, this has roughness, so it can only be the Pro or the Motion, and in my opinion is lighter. My guess is the Gravity Motion. Roughness as well, more. This is heavier. This is the Gravity Pro. No doubt. Alright, no roughness. It's lighter, but I'm not quite sure if it's lighter than the Team Light or not. I will say it's the Gravity Team. Yeah, the previous one is the Gravity Team, and this is the Team Light. No roughness as well. Yeah, Gravity Team Light. Well, I was able to more or less guess them with my eyes closed. But I still had a big question. The Gravity models are focused on control, but they also have power. So which one is the most powerful? To make it as realistic as possible, I did 5 smashes with each racket and calculated the average distance covered in those 5 attempts. Do you think the Pro version is the most powerful? Well, you're right, but not in my case, because since the Pro is heavier, I achieve better results with the Motion as I can generate more acceleration. In a match, timing is crucial, so I get better smashes with the Motion as I can hit the ball at the right moment. So after analyzing the difference in power, what about accuracy? So I quickly came up with a challenge: 5 serves to knock down a can of balls placed on the net. But why serve? Because the serve is the only shot where we control the ball 100%, so in theory it should give us the most control.
light. Vamos.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you would love to have one of these for free. Well, at this point I have done several tests to find the real differences between the 4 gravity models, but is the gravity that different from the Extreme and the Speed? Because according to Head, the Extreme is the most powerful racket and the Speed is the most versatile. So the first thing that I wanted to do was compare the stiffness of the 3 Pro models. Because in this case they don't share the same materials and you can feel it. Remember that the Gravity has the control foam while the Extreme and the Speed use the power foam. While the Gravity and the Extreme have the same fiber, the Speed Pro X incorporates 12K carbon and is by far the stiffest. But the differences between the Extreme and the Gravity weren't that significant. But what will happen in a power test? Because in theory the Extreme should be much more powerful than the Gravity, so I wanted to find it out. And since I compared power, I had to see how much accuracy the Extreme and the Speed had compared to the Gravity.
Ausetic 12K carbon. Speed Pro X. Unbelievable.
La Ausetic que no falla, ¿eh?
La Ausetic 12K.
It's clear that these tests can be helpful, but they're not decisive. So I asked Mauri Andrini, one of the best coaches in the world, for his feedback on the Gravity after testing it.
The sweet spot is like forgives you a little bit more. You know, you could tell if you hit the ball around here, you can still, but the higher you go to kick the ball by 3, for example, if you don't do it properly, you know, it doesn't really help you for that, but it helps you for all the rest. The texture, yeah, this is rough, so it helps you sometimes, you know, to get a little bit more spin to the shot, or to get, you know, with hot weather, to get the ball stay a little bit more with you. I mean, because it's rounded, it seems that it's like for everyone, you know, but it's like for intermediate level player. Also, I mean, this racket will be used by Daniel Windel, the top player, a Swedish player who competes in Premier Padel and is a professional paddle player. For those players who like defending, you know, playing chiquitas, loves, controlling the game at the back, and at the net being as well a proper proper net position players who don't like attacking all the time, but controlling the game, who likes building the point and winning by building the point, not only by going for extreme shots.
So you probably are wondering, Pablo, with all this information, how are the Gravity models? Well, before giving my final opinion, it's crazy that I haven't briefly explained what control means in a paddle racket. Because for me, control is the sum of several factors. On one hand, there's maneuverability. If you are using a racket that you cannot move properly, you won't have good control. On the other hand, there's ball output, because the more ball output a racket has, the more racket will influence the outcome of your shot. And to have control over your shot, we need to be the ones responsible for it. That is why generally the harder the racket, the less ball output it will have and the more control we will gain. And of course, the sweet spot, because the larger it is, the easier it will be to get a good shot. These are the main factors to consider for control, but who is each Gravity model ideal for? Well, I'm gonna try to assign each one to a type of player. If you are very young or have arm injuries, the Team Light is ideal to its low weight. You've seen that it's practically as good as the other rackets, and that extra maneuverability is very interesting. The difference between the Motion and the Team is the 5 grams more of the Motion and it's rough finished. I personally relate to these models because they are the ones I would choose, specifically the Motion for its rough surface and being slightly lighter. So if you like an agile racket with a large sweet spot and lots of control, the Motion or Team is your racket. But finally, the Pro is the ideal for a player who has enough strength to take advantage of the extra weight and the stiffness. It's very comfortable and has a lot of control, but for me, it penalized my ability to move it as easily as the Motion. Well, do you have any doubts regarding the gravities? Leave them in the comments and I answer you, so thank you so much for watching the video and see you in the next one. Ciao!